We officially have 99 days until the start of the 2024-25 college basketball season. Officially dipped under at 100 mark. Checking in with our number 100 video yesterday, we have Drake. And yeah, at number 99 team in the country today, we have the George Mason Patriots out of the Atlantic 10. So stick around if you want to hear about that. But first, just want to plug ourselves real quick. Make sure to follow Hoops Hoop Media on Instagram, Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube, as I assume you're watching us there. Subscribe, turn on post notifications, and you'll get that new video every day. And also follow Luke at College Hoops Outlet on Instagram, CHO Talks Sports on Twitter. And yeah, ready to get into George Mason?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So last year was the first year for head coach Tony Skinn. It was a relatively successful season overall, I would say. They crossed that 20-win mark, finishing 20-12 in the season, seventh in the A10 regular season, and their postseason ended early with a first round exit in the A10 tournament. Lost to St. Joe's there. But yeah, like I think it was a pretty solid season overall, considering Skin his 1 year did better than either of the years Kim English was there. So yeah, don't you agree with that?
Yeah, I think they have a pretty talented roster in the A10 last year, and I think coming into this year. But first year head coach, I think you can be satisfied with where they finished.
Yeah, for sure. But if they want to get back up there again, they will have to do so without some significant pieces. They did lose a solid amount from last year, including Keyshawn Hall, their best player. He is off to UCF now. Amari Kelly, big man, exhausts his eligibility. Freshman point guard Braka Okoji is off to Memphis. And Ronald Plight and Malik Henry both left for UNC Greensboro. And Trey Wood also exhausts his eligibility, bench piece there. But yeah, they still bring back like a decent amount. Unlike Drake, who we talked about yesterday, basically brought back no one, but George Mason brings back a decent amount, highlighted by Darius Maddox, who I think is going to be their best player this year. Really good shooter, really solid scorer overall, and yeah, 14 points per game last year, shot over 40% from three. What are your big thoughts about him?
Yeah, I think he's set for a big year now with Hall being gone, an efficient scorer, great from behind the arc. And he came down from Virginia Tech last season and took the spotlight well. So I think he's ready for another big year now with Hall gone.
Yes, so with Hall gone, he should be the team's number one option, something he wasn't really last year. Not super high volume, decently high volume player, but yeah, he's going to have to be the number one option, in my opinion. And yeah, he really shot the ball well, 40%, over 40% on high volume. So was able to score from inside as well. So should look for that to continue. Another returner, Woody Newton, comes in to a second year with the Patriots after transferring from Oklahoma State. Not didn't have a great season overall, but solid athlete, good A10 level athlete. Yeah, solid defensive piece, good rebounder. I think he could break out this year. It's kind of what you're hoping for with him, that he sees that second year transfer jump. Another second year transfer, Jared Billups, actually started every game last year. Not a huge offensive piece, but definitely more known for his defense, which is why he really got on the floor, started every game. And yeah, any thoughts on those two?
Yeah, I think they're both in that lineup because of what they bring defensively.
Hmm.
Newton has those 3 years of high major experience at Oklahoma State. I think they're both going to play solid minutes in the rotation, but I don't have Billups starting this year because of a couple of the transfers coming in that I guess we'll get to in a moment. But
Yes, but yeah, speaking about a returner still, the only other returner that played last year was Austin Ball, freshman last year. Could see a little bit of a role increase this year. I like his long-term potential. Definitely think he can mold into an impactful player. I guess we'll see if the players around him in the rotation allows that to be this year. But I'm generally pretty high on his future. Any thoughts? I mean, he didn't play a ton last year, but
yeah, I think he's more of a piece for the future. They've got a couple of seniors that transferred in. Um,
yes.
get another year under his belt, and then 25, 26 will be when he gets to shine.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But the real intriguing returning piece here is that's Jalen Haynes. This could make or break their team, honestly, because Jalen Haynes did not play last year, was a two-time transfer that just decided to shut it down, not play at all, even when the two-time transfer rule was passed. So he sat all of last season on the sidelines after transferring in from East Tennessee State. Had a monster year 2 years ago, averaged 14.6 points, 6.4 rebounds, was efficient overall, had a really great year as a sophomore there. So we don't really know what we're getting from him. We don't know like where he's at right now, but I think he could be really good if he's like made the natural progressions and even got better just with a year of practice.
Yeah, it's definitely something to, I mean, watch for when you take a basically a gap year in the middle of your
Hmm.
career. He was an elite post up big at East Tennessee State. He looked really good. From what I saw, just dominant post presence, solid rebounder. He'll fill in nicely, fill in the hole nicely from Kelly's departure.
Yes.
And I think, yeah, like you said, he needs to be um, a big piece for them in the front court if they want to be successful.
Yes, I agree because I think he like could be one of the best bigs in the conference, but he's also just such a wild card because we don't know what this last year has been like for him. But yeah, definitely think there's a lot of potential there. A lot of the allure of the unknown. Just yeah, he could be pretty good. But then those are all the returners that George Mason brought back. But they also got some intriguing transfers. The most intriguing is definitely KD Johnson. Definitely a popular name throughout college basketball. Definitely very, very controversial. Um, what are your thoughts on this move?
Yeah, I think like he's that ultimate energy guy, and
Hmm.
especially you've seen SEC fans and Auburn fans in the past. He hasn't been the same since his freshman year. So he's kind of become a bit of a, I don't know, just player that gets made fun of often for his kind of fall off. But I think new scenery can help with that. Going down a level to the A10, I think he has a chance to shine in the backcourt. That looks pretty open.
Yes, I'm really interested to see what all it looks like because I mean he's a very good defensive piece. Like that's not going to go anywhere. He was very good for a very good defensive team over in Auburn for a few years, but yeah, like I don't know what his offensive game is going to look like because like he's going to get more shots. Do you want him taking more shots? But like he's also proven like he can really go off some games. I don't know what we're getting. He's going to win them some games. He's going to lose them some games.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
Yeah, but he can really get to the rim, can really draw contact. But I am really interested to see how this pans out because I could see it going in a variety of different ways. But at the end of the day, he's been a high major player for 4 years. He's been a pretty and he's got minutes on some really good teams. So definitely a good ad, even though there's a lot of controversy with just him and his playing style. But another transfer they got in the backcourt that will likely play next to him is Jeremiah Quigley, freshman transfer from Iona, who had a pretty good freshman season, average over 10 points per game, was a good passer, was really playing his best basketball at the end of the year, where he scored double digits in his last 8 games. So yeah, I pretty solid addition there, I would say.
Yeah, I like what he's able to bring. Kind of a different piece than KD Johnson, great passer, quick small
Mhm.
guard. But the one thing that concerns me is they're both 6 foot and under, so you have a pretty small backcourt there. I know KD is a good defender, but
Mhm. Yeah, that could be an issue. I don't know. I mean, the A10, it's not like as glaring of an issue, especially with KD being that good defensive piece like you mentioned. But yeah, definitely a little bit smaller than you would like, but I think based on who the players are, you're going to be fine with it. And yeah, love that they got Quigley with so much eligibility left. Definitely a lot to work with. They also got some transfer forwards. One of them is Zach Anderson from Florida Gulf Coast. Had a pretty solid year for the Eagles down there. Had a huge game in their win over FAU. I remember he was going crazy that game, had 21 points, 10 rebounds, and overall pretty efficient score. I know he like took an official visit to Indiana in the portal process, so whenever you're able to get someone like that, to be in like a fringe starter bench role, who definitely could have gone high major based on the ways of the portal, I think you definitely take that.
Yeah, I really liked what I saw from Zach Anderson. Athletic forward and then just a fantastic shooter, 45.9% from three last year,
Mhm.
51 makes, so almost two a game. Um, I think he provides a lot of offensive capabilities for them. So I think he comes off the bench in place of Newton or in place of Maddox and gives that second unit a spark.
Yeah. They also got some other forward transfers. Braden O'Connor, one of them from UMass Lowell. He was pretty solid this year, but the thing that really stuck out to me is his minutes per game increased by like 20 between his freshman and sophomore year. So yeah, I think that really sticks out to me. And again, he's not a super high usage player, but in conference play last year, he was really efficient. So if he's able to carry that over, maybe even take another jump, I think he can be a solid player in A10.
Yeah, that UMass Lowell team was underratedly good last year in the
Mm.
America East. Obviously, not as good as Vermont, but O'Connor played a big role in that in conference play. So I think he can be a solid contributor in the A10.
Yep. Last transfer that they added in was Giovanni Amiduru from Siena. Siena really struggled last year. They were really bad, but Amiduru was actually like pretty decent. And he's also just like so huge. Like, I mean, that size isn't going to go anywhere. And yeah, he really pounded the offensive glass. So I think he's going to still see a solid role at George Mason, probably um, in a backup big with replacing Haynes when he needs to. But yeah, I think he's still going to get minutes. Like he had a pretty solid season. Again, he's just a mountain of a man. So I think that'll get him minutes.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that if you need him to play, he'll be able to give you solid minutes. But if Haynes um, is what we hope he can become, then you don't even need Emahuru to play big minutes like that.
Yes. They also got three freshmen, got Bryson Coakley, Justin Begg, and Stas Sivka. Any of these freshmen really stick out to you as players who could get potential minutes?
I don't think this year any of the three are really going to crack the rotation in my eyes. From what I saw, you've got a lot of experienced returners and experienced transfers. So I think it'll be more of a wait for the long term, just like sophomore Austin Ball. Um,
Yes.
they'll
I
see
think
time.
I think Begg could play because I don't know like he might be like the backup point guard. I don't know like if Katie's gonna play some point guard, but I think there are some minutes to get there because they don't really have another point guard in the roster.
Yeah, I think Billups can kind of fill that role, but there's no real true point guard after Quigley. Um,
Yes. Yeah, I think he could get some minutes there. Coakley, I don't know. I definitely like his long-term potential, but yeah, he's kind of the same position as like Maddox. Um, so not sure about the minutes there. And I think Sivka is just all in development piece that I don't think can be too impactful right away, but definitely like that taking big men with a lot of eligibility, all 4 years left, and he's kind of old, I believe, for his class being an international. So yeah, maybe he can be good down the line, but yeah, overall, where'd you have George Mason in the A10?
I went with seventh. I think that
Okay,
top five of VCU, Dayton, St. Joe's, Loyola, and I forget who else I had in that top five.
probably
But
St. Louis.
yeah, St. Louis, yes. And I think they're right outside there. I think Duquesne and St. Bonaventure will be right around there.
Yeah, I had him sixth. I agree. There's like clear top tier, and they're not in that top tier in my opinion. But I mean, as we've seen, the A10 tournament is kind of crazy. Like every team is like kind of like good, but not that good. So definitely some crazy things can happen there. I think it'll be tough for them to make the tournament, but yeah, with the unpredictability, I think it's not out of the question. So what do you think needs to happen for George Mason to really like live up to their potential?
I think the important pieces are those two in the backcourt. Quigley stepping up to the 8-10. What can he provide
Mhm.
offensively? And then KD Johnson, we talked about him a lot. He's just a complete wild card, really. If he can be consistent option, then George Mason can really challenge that top five.
Yeah, I agree. And I think for me, it's like the Maddox, Johnson, Haynes are the guys that really need to insert themselves. Like Maddox, I think really needs to be that number one option, as I mentioned earlier, just like really buy in and like because he wasn't that number one option last year. So he really needs to step up. Um, yeah, Haynes, just like I said, like he just needs to be like what he was 2 years ago, maybe better. And then yeah, Katie Johnson just needs to be like a little more consistent, I guess. Just needs to not shoot him out of every game. But yeah, I think. And any other thoughts about George Mason? I think this is a pretty solid A10 roster. I really do like um, Tony Skinn and what he could probably accomplish over the years. I think he was a big upgrade from Kim English, honestly, in just terms of coaching. So.
Yeah, I think it's a program that'll be on the rise. This is a hard year to compete
Mhm.
with the pieces that teams like VCU bring back, but I think they'll be pretty good. And then I just wanted to give one more shout for Zach Anderson, the FGCU
Yes.
transfer. I really think he can be a big piece off the bench for them.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, and that was number 99, George Mason. Comment below, any thoughts in the video, anything, and where you think George Mason should be this year, your thoughts on him. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow with number 98 team in the country. Make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications so you do not miss that. And yeah, comment below who you think the number 98 team is. If you get it right, we will give you a shout out.